Sanlam Trust Beneficiary Fund's mission is very simple. We're creating a lasting legacy for our beneficiaries. And we do this by empowering them, educating them, and making sure that we protect the funds that have been entrusted with us and changing each beneficiary's life, one beneficiary at a time. One of the things that we want to do is to make sure that everything that we do is the client is at the center. The client is the beneficiary, the guardian, and also the principal officers, the decision makers in the pension fund world. So one of the things that we're very passionate about, and technology helps us actually to start being able to give that information at the fingertips. So what we see this time is an opportune time for us to be able to say, how do we get information easily available to our beneficiaries, to our guardians, and have a centralized education strategy. And AI and technology actually helps us to be able to do that. We can use tools like WhatsApp to be able to communicate effectively and efficiently. And we can onboard with the same tool, which means we use the tool to be able to service, to communicate, and actually to broadcast, because some of the information that people want to know, I want my statement, they want it immediately. They don't want to wait for it. AI and technology is actually enabling us to be able to think out of the box, be able to get a claim without having to go through a long waiting turnaround time and workflow processes. It's at a fingertip. When I'm sitting at home, I want to load my ID, you need my banking details, I submit everything via WhatsApp. On the other end, it's able to be processed. That reduces time. And we're living in times where people want information instantly. Then we're passionate about our beneficiaries. We actually want to take this journey with them until they turn the age of 18. And in that moment, you want to start having financial education conversations. And how do you actually have them effectively? People want to see this information. Gamification, you can do that. And age-appropriate content when it comes to financial literacy. For example, we all know July is a National Savings Month. You want to be able to participate and drive that messaging, because financial literacy in South Africa, it's actually quite scary to see that people don't necessarily have a relationship with money, number one. When they do, it's a question of, how do I actually spend this money quicker? And now you want to actually embed how to actually preserve money. And this is an opportunity that we can use, and AI and technology can help us do that. And maybe the question would be, how do you achieve that? You can have calculators. One of the examples that I like making is when you're onboarding a client and you have to have a conversation with the guardian. The most difficult part is having to explain to them why they can't use this money because it might not last. But if they're able to see at their fingertips, calculate for themselves without obviously this advice component, the market can go whichever way. But when you're able to see and visualize that, okay, I've received 100,000 for a child that is 4 years, and I want this money to last at 18, how much actually can I draw from this? And that is important. So you want that information instantly available. So that is the future of actually doing this financial education instantly and making sure that the conversation actually lands. And then as part of the process of a beneficiary fund, we've got the onboarding, we've got the management of the account itself. And then when we get to termination, you actually want to prompt the client sooner rather than later. And this eliminates having to trace because you don't know where they are. So if you've been constantly communicating with them via WhatsApp, as an example, already there's information that you've gathered around the client. So then we get to termination. The client says to you, you actually communicate to the client as a service provider. We are at the time where you are reaching termination. We're going to need XYZ. It is your ID, it is your banking details. Please submit them. Instantly, you are able to submit them without having to go to internet cafes. We like it or not, there is that challenge. These kind of things are not easily available, but everybody has a smartphone. And because people have access to smartphones, they can actually be able, let's make this phone a tool to make your life easier. If they're able to submit it, then on the other hand, when we receive it, there's elimination of waiting period in terms of the termination process. You receive the documents, you're able to verify, then you're able to process the termination. One of the things that I want to also emphasize that has been, quite, empowering when it comes to the use of AI and technology is how do we also now communicate simple things. What is a beneficiary? What is my role as a guardian? Okay, I am now, because we do find guardians and beneficiaries not necessarily having conversations around money. How do we make these conversations palatable to both the guardian and the beneficiary, so that when they get to that point, it's not a strange money conversation? Empowering them, okay, do brochures. What does a guardian's role look like? What is it that you can claim? What is it that you cannot claim? Instantly, something that they've got access to. And then we do have a lot of value-added services. And I think a lot in the industry, you want to do over and above what a beneficiary fund is required to do, which is just, making sure that you pay through the monies, manage them, grow them. But you've got what we call value-added services. How do you make these value-added services easily accessible? I'll make an example. We've got a Bokamoso bursary fund. The bursary fund, we all know it's for tertiary funding. When do you apply? I mean, one of the things that we know, a lot of people, yes, they've got access to information. It's the how do we use it. We do get people getting to matric, writing their final examinations, but they haven't applied at one university. So this platform can be used at a broadcast. You're broadcasting, hey, it's that time of the year. Are you in matric? Have you applied? And then you're prompting so that, at the end of the day, when you're doing your selection for Bokamoso, you're expecting so many people, applicants, that are going to be responding to this message. And that's how actually you can use technology to the best of your ability for the benefit of you doing your, as a service provider, doing your duties and also adding more value, and on the other side for the guardian and the beneficiaries to be able to get information, respond. And then on the side of the POs and the trustees, there is a lot of content, educational content. I think we all are hungry for content, but sometimes it's, where do I get this content centralized? And you can get the same platform, being able to just snap at the tip of your phone, tip of your hands. You're able to click, and then you get information around, okay, this is a beneficiary fund, this is what they do, this is another opportunity maybe that one can actually tap into. So there's a lot that can be done and achieved with using technology. And I think the world has moved, and because the world has moved, we need to catch up, and so that we are palatable also to the Gen Zs. People want information instantly. Sanlam Trust uses technology to connect, educate, empower, and build trust.